Not quite. Okay. Speaker down. All right, you want people to hear it. Okay, so I guess should we get started? Okay, so welcome to the Ar Tonelico panel. So I'm Jenna. Today I'm dressed as Infel.
I'm James. I'm not dressed up as anyway, sadly.
Anyway, so before we start, how many of you have played Ar Tonelico or any of you? Nice. I think if you haven't, how many of you have heard the music at least? Yeah, see?
And just as a side account, is anyone else familiar with the Ar Tonelico series at all? Okay.
So first off, a brief introduction of like what is Ar Tonelico. So basically there are 3 games. The first 2 were for the PS2 and the third one was for the PS3. And this was ultimately thought up by this man right here, Akira Tsuchiya. And it's known especially for its music. A lot of people get into it because of the music, I myself included. And also it has a lot of very extensive world building, and it's one part of something called the Exa Pico universe, which I'll get into later on. So first off, a quick background on what the stories of these 3 games are. So basically, they take place on these floating continents surrounding 3 towers of Ar Tonelico on the planet of RCL, which the planet's surface itself became uninhabitable because of a disaster known as Graphnode Inferior. So this happened about 700 years before the start of the game, and it covered the surface in something called the Sea of Death, which people can't live in something like that. Just people disappear if they try and go into that, and it covers 99.3% of the surface. And the planet of RCL is actually alive, it has wills, and basically the Sea of Death even persists 700 years later because the planet's pretty angry at humanity for this. And so each of these 3 games centers around one of these 3 surviving regions after this disaster, and they surround these 3 towers of Ar Tonelico.
So for a little breakdown on the games, they're pretty traditional JRPGs. Each game, so there's 3 games, each one's a sequel to the last one, but each one is a separate enough story where if you were to play them out of order, you're not that far out of what's going on story-wise. The games all feature we call a light visual novel system. This is used to get to know female characters better, help them get more powerful, stuff like that. It's pretty extensive in there, like each one of them easily could probably spend a good, 5-6 hours per girl on just their diving alone. And as I mentioned with the Atelier series, because this is also a Gus game, it shares a very similar crafting system. The first game even going as far as to mimic the grade system for the item qualities and things like that. Thankfully, there is no time limit. As the Atelier players have grown to love. So, like most visual novels, so to speak, these games all have multiple endings. Based on a lot of the decisions you make, but these are scattered enough where it's highly recommended if you do go for all the endings to use multiple saves. Otherwise, you're going to be seeing like another 6 hours of backtracking. Other neat things is a lot of elements in this game actually come from concepts behind audio engineering and computer science. Like they actually talk about using fast-forward transformations for certain parts of the game. The language, which we'll go into later, actually has part of its language is similar to like what you'd see for sine wave modifications and wave functions. Other crazy stuff like that, like really nerdy things like the world map actually mimics a spinning hard drive, other things like that. So if you pay attention, there's a lot of subtle cameos into real life weirdness.
So about those girls, so a lot of your main party members, the main girls in these are called Rabbit Tales, and basically there's these girls that can sing song magic because they're connected to something called song servers. And so these Rabbit Tales can either be completely artificially made, so that would be the Origins, which were the first 3 Rabbit Tales ever created. Yeah, like I said, there's 3 of them, or pure blood betas, which are essentially clones of the Origins. Or they can also be part human, if these Origins are pure blood betas that have children with a human, then you have 3rd generation Rabbit Tales. And so most of the Rabbit Tales have something called a cosmosphere, which is their mental world that the humans dive into with a dive machine. And that's mostly used for crafting song magic, but it can also help to deepen the bond between the diver and the Rabbit Tale. And these cosmospheres reflect the Rabbit Tales, their feelings, their memories, their wishes, essentially like their true self. So you can get to know who these Rabbit Tales truly are on the inside, especially once you get into the deeper levels of the cosmosphere. And in most cases, the cosmospheres are protected by essentially like a guide to the cosmosphere called a mind guardian. As another note, Rabbit Tales are made of organic matter, but it's a little different from humans. It's created by something called the triangular nuclear loop. I won't go too in-depth into that for time's sake for now, but they're kind of like humans. So another very important part of the series is the Hymnos language. So this is a whole conlang invented by Tsuchiya to be used in games. So this is what the Rabbit Tales use for singing song magic. So there's 2 major types, which you have like your standard Hymnos type and something called the New Testament of Castilian. Standard is actually broken down into several individual dialects, but these all share the same sort of grammar, while Castilian has a slightly different grammar. So Hymnos, the most important thing in Hymnos, though, is in expressing the emotions of the singer. And so the language itself actually takes this into consideration. And in standard, you have something called emotion sounds, which are 3 words at the beginning of a sentence that expresses the singer's emotions. And then in Castilian, they have something called emotion vowels, which are essentially like different vowels that you insert into the verbs, and the different vowels stand for different emotions. So feelings are expressed through that. And all this hymnos originates from a language called Ar Tonelico, which is essentially the language of the planet. Like I said, the planet's alive, so it too has a language. And so this is what the hymnos script this is what it looks like. So this is what the title slide was written in, is the hymnos script. The top lines are the capital letters, bottom is lowercase. And here's Ar Tonelico, the language of the planet. And if you see on the far right, like the exclamation point, $sign, that's not actually for like exclamation point and $sign and stuff. That's just how the font does something called compartment codes. So these compartment codes, essentially, these signify the frequency and like wave shape of the sound in Ar Tonelico, because Ar Tonelico, a lot of it's actually outside of the range of human hearing, so that's why you have compartment codes to kind of show what frequency and the wave shape is of these higher frequency sounds. So a little more on song magic. So there's 2 main types of song magic that you'll see in game. You'll have your hymnos words, which is the generally used song magic this is most of the stuff you're going to be using in battle is the hymnos words. And then also hymnos extracts, which are the more large-scale song magic. They're essentially programs that the Rabbit Tale downloads from something called a hymn crystal. Most of the songs with the vocals that you will hear in game are the hymnos extracts. So this is probably what people are familiar with if you've gotten into Ar Tonelico through the music, is the hymnos extracts. So most of these will begin with, their titles will begin with either exec or method, depending on the server. And so exec is for use with the song server called, Ar Tonelico, while method type hymnos extracts are for use with the server called Infel. And another thing about hymnos words, that they're organized into different types depending on their effects. So red is for attacking magic, blue for recovery, and green for like passive field effects, but that's really only seen in the first game for whatever reason. So let's songs, so I keep going on about how important the songs are, so here's a little bit about that. So most of these are sung by Akiko Shikata, so some of the other stuff she's done is Fumineko, if anyone's familiar with that, and Epic of Zekbok, if anyone other than myself actually knows what that is. There's also Haruka Shimotsuki, who's done some work with Sound Horizon and Atelier, and Noriko Mitose, who also is in Atelier, and she also did a song for Chrono Cross, actually, and some other singers are like Yuko Ishibashi, who's in the first 2 games, and then Kokia, who plays one of the 3 main Raven Tales in the 3rd game, and she's done work in Final Fantasy 13-2 and actually Dark Souls 3.
If you can get to the end.
And then there's also like Yula Yayoi. I'm a personal fan of hers. That's how I got into the series. Yoku Ueno, and there's more too. And so these main songs are released in albums called the Hymnos Concert albums. And then there's something called Kurt Hymnos too, which is just a big collection of all these Hymnos Concert albums. And it also included 3 new songs on this little play button thing. And unfortunately, there's also some unreleased songs. And some of these are actually pretty major songs, like the 3rd game, some of its final boss themes are unreleased. For some reason, it's really weird. There's also some weird releases too, like Akiko Shikata has released a few songs relating to Ar Tonelico on her own personal albums, like for example, a song called Solidek Planka on her Harmonia album, Exit Carvastasha and Raka. Personal favorite song, Emptiness, was an included CD on her Harmonia concert pamphlet. So that's just weird, but shit.
The good news is for some or most of the missing songs, people have gone through and ripped them straight from the games and are usually scattered throughout the region. And I think there might even be like a collection of unreleased songs floating around as well.
Sure, thankfully. Akiko Shikata has also done like music box albums of Hymnos songs too, and then there's also separate albums for the songs that were in like drama CDs, so they have their own separate albums too. And so in addition to lyrics, most of these songs will also have descriptions of the feelings contained in them, since feelings are so important for Hymnos. So here's an example of one of the songs, Method Rikakia.
Is that loud enough?
So this is actually a song you can use pretty early on in game. In the second game, you can actually use it in battle. It's really powerful, but I spammed it all the time just to hear this song. This is in Pistelier Hymnus, so if you saw the like random capital letters in the lyrics, yeah, those were the emotion vowels right there. And also as a quick warning, if you want to avoid spoilers, be a little careful when looking up like the details behind the songs, because there's a lot of spoilers behind them, since hymnus extracts are normally sung in pretty important parts of the game.
Yeah, basically whenever those get sung, they really stop everything. You listen to the whole thing and then like everything explodes kind of to your stuff.
But just searching if the music's fine, though. Just don't look at the background behind it. So let's briefly go over the 3 games themselves. So it all began with Ar Tonelico 1, Melody of Alemia, which takes place in Sol Ciel, which is the location of the first tower of Ar Tonelico. So everything starts when mysterious viruses start to appear in the symphonic reactor and attack the city of Platina. And you play as Liner, who's a knight of Alemia, who basically, he lives here, and he's told to go find a hymn crystal called Purger, and to go help fight off these viruses.
So just as a fun little note, since this game's so music focused, there's some of the dive music playing in the background as we go through the next few slides, since pretty much every character has their own theme that plays throughout while doing mental explorations and stuff like that.
They have really good themes through all of them. Next up, my personal favorite, Ar Tonelico 2, Melody of Metapholica. Oh, actually, my personal bias aside, this generally is considered to be the best of the series, at least from the people I've talked to and stuff. It takes place in Metaphos, the land where the second tower is located, although it's an incomplete tower because the disaster Graphno Inferior happened during its destruction, so that kind of halted that. And it also has Infel, which is the name of another song singer. So life is pretty difficult here, especially on this thing called the Rim, because it's like this giant artificial structure that really isn't meant for maintaining life. And it's also literally collapsing, so that's kind of a problem. And so everyone here, they seek this paradise, it's like in their legends and stuff, called Metapholica, but it was forbidden for them to try and make this because of a pact following a war with their goddess over 400 years ago. And unfortunately, the official localization of this game was not the best, so much so that there's actually a full fan-made relocalization that vastly improves the translation and also fixes some game-breaking bugs.
Game-breaking to the tier where it is freezing and it's done.
Yeah.
And you just kind of swear and have to restart.
Yeah.
So, just to show some of the game,
So yeah, if at all possible, I would recommend playing the retranslation if you can. Just all overall.
Speaking of that, since can't really expect a lot of people to have a modified PlayStation 2 for this, there's quite a few small graphical options you want to make sure you go through and check for this game if you use the emulator. Otherwise, you'll have some interesting clipping or lines going through sprites. But once you've set those, it'll look right through that to see through. This is actually the retranslation.
Project Metaphor.
随分と手こずらせたな。弱い3歳。
貴様らには情けというものはないのか。
障害は排除するだけだ。合理的な考え方だと思うがの。
旅館を抱えて逃げるな。 早く。
逃げるのよ。
さてレイカを返してもらうぞ。
それはできない注文だ。この子は IPD 感染体だ。それも極上の一級品。これほどまでに純度の高い感染体は初めてだよ。じっくりと研究すればこの世界の明日のため。
俺の娘に何をするんだ。
何別に殺したりゃせんよ。ちょっとした反応を見せてもらうだけだ。
貴様らなどにレイカを好き勝手させるか。
今日はよく頑張ったわね。ルカも立派なお姉ちゃんだったわ。大丈夫。レイカはお父さんも必ず連れて帰ってきてくれるから。ね、もちろんよ。ルカも知ってるでしょ。お父さんは本当に強いんだから。それじゃあお母さんと一緒にお歌を歌ってもらおうか。ねんねころりや夜空の月よいずこへ夢に浮かびし鐘をなだめて一人静か歌を唱えて思い連ねてこの日を迎え別れを嘆き昔をめでるただ悲しみ赤き髪さえ陰りをまとい我が身を映す歌う息吹はよすならあの人に届けいつの日か。
So the retranslation and everything. So moving on. Finally, the third game, Ar Tonelico Koga Nel Arciel, which takes place in Sol Cluster, where the third tower is located. And ultimately, this deals with the restoration of the planet itself, of Arciel. And yes, this is the one, there's a lot of fan service in the other games, but this one kind of takes it over the top. If you've heard about it, yes, this is the one with the stripping. But even so, the story is really, really good, and the characters, and it does bring the series to a satisfying conclusion. So I still would absolutely recommend playing it as well. Moving on to probably one of my favorite parts of this panel. So like I said, the world building in Ar Tonelico is really in-depth, so much so that they made their own fake science for it, which is the wave science right here. And it's also, how I said earlier, it's part of something called the Exapico universe. So Exapico, basically this is the origin of the universe. So everything in the world here is, it's made of waves, and all these waves originate from Exapico. So this diagram on the right is kind of showing how like star systems and stars and planets are all made of the waves that came from Exapico. So actually different star systems and different stars and planets will have different wave compositions from say like RCL. But the two main wave types that are most relevant in Ar Tonelico that they'll talk about all the time are the H waves and the D waves. So first off is H waves or hypno waves. So there's two types. So there's, first of all is static H waves, which are basically like your life force, like your mind, that's static H waves. And then dynamic H waves are your feelings. So like I said, feelings are so important when singing song magic. It's because that's basically releasing dynamic H waves with your feelings. And then there's also D waves or detail waves, which also come in static and dynamic waves. So the static is basically like matter. So like everything, like we're all composed of D waves. That's matter. And then like dynamic D waves affects matter. So like when you're singing like an energy blast or something, it'd be like dynamic D waves. And so next up is, here I'm going to explain song magic from the wave science point of view. So first off, hymnos words. So these are the general use song magic that I talked about. Basically, these come directly from the Raventail's feelings. So the Raventail can control the flow of H waves, so they can sing and express their feelings. And so they send their dynamic H waves to the tower, and then the tower converts them into D waves, which so basically it's making an effect based on their feelings they're sending to the tower. So like I said, most of those hymns used in battle are here, are these. And the names of these hymnos works, they will begin with either exec hymn or method hymn, although most of the time in game they'll just list them as just the name of magic without the exec hymn or method hymn.
It's kind of like how you use your computer. You don't really use like so like if you want to use paint, you kind of just type in paint and it opens. You don't go through like C Windows System 32 paint.exe and run that every time you want to use it. So you can kind of think of the words like just a shortcut to what you use. It's pretty obvious. Like, it's frequently used.
Yeah, so the game's not going to list the whole name. I think the only place where I've ever seen exec hymn or method hymn actually listed the full name listed is in the drama CD songs. We'll have the full names of the song magic listed on the exec hymn or method hymn. So once again, the exec or method depends on the server, if it's Ar Tonelico or Infel or method. So next up is hymnos extracts. So these are essentially programs that the Raventail downloads, and then these programs directly control the tower itself to make some effect happen. So since these are something downloaded from a hymn crystal, the feelings, basically they're downloading feelings. So, but the feelings are the creator of the hymn crystals and not the Raventail's own feelings. So since you're just downloading the feelings, it's not a set song that they're downloading. So if a different Raventails that download the same hymn extract, the song that they sing itself will actually sound different depending on who downloads it. So an example of this is in the first game, the hymn crystal Purger. you can choose who you want to download it into, and then they'll sing a different sounding song. But it ultimately still does it has the same effect in the tower, it just sounds different. So, like I said, since it's a download feeling, it's a preset program, they have a set flow of H waves that the Ravetail can't control, unlike Hymnos works, which are coming directly from their feeling, so they control the H wave flow. These have different set H wave flows. So some of them have pretty high requirements for use. And so, like I said, most of the larger scale of song magic used in game are these Hymnos extracts and it's an executor method depending on the server type. And basically a analogy that Tsuchiya used in the one of the setting books, he explained it like basically called hymn crystals are basically like game cartridges or discs. The Ravetails are the hard drives, and then Ar Tonelico itself is like a game console. And also, as another note, you can't download an exec type Hymnos into a Ravetail that's connected to the server Infel, and likewise, you can't use a method type Hymnos with a Ravetail who's connected to Ar Tonelico.
Following the previous analogy, that's basically saying you can't put a Super Nintendo cartridge in Genesis.
And so another something I want to briefly talk about here is Hymnos spells. So these are basically just predefined strings of Hymnos. They're registered with the tower. So these can be used by humans too. You don't have to be a Ravetail to use these. So these are basically, most of the time you see them in the form of download spells. So you have to like say a certain spell to download a Hymnos extract if you're a Ravetail. And they're also used a lot for just like opening doors in the tower.
Literally, just opening the door.
Finally, I hope this is getting this is a little kind of complicated, but I hope I can convey it well enough. But SH servers, so which stands for static hymnos. So, like I was saying, static H waves are like your mind, your life force, that sort of thing. And so Ravetails, basically their minds are stored within servers called SH servers. So since these are their minds, it's essentially their cosmospheres are also here, since cosmospheres are basically their minds. You dive into their minds. So each Ravetail has a specific address where like your cosmosphere and your mind is located in these SH servers. And so there's two main types of SH servers. There's the Origin exclusive and Beta 6E. So the Origin exclusive servers, there's 3 of them, since there's 3 Ravetail origins. So just to remind you, the origins were the first Ravetails ever created. So they each have their own separate server. And from the rest of Ravetails, all the rest of Ravetails are all connected to something called a Beta 6D. So there's 3 Beta 6Ds in total. So the first tower of Ar Tonelico has a Beta 6D, the third one does, and Infel has a Beta 6D. The second tower does not have a Beta 6D or any other sort of SH server, because it was never, second tower is incomplete, so it doesn't function. So some servers since it was never completed. So basically, I keep talking about Beta 6D, Beta 6D. Basically what it is, it's like a large soul space, and then it's divided into individual parts, which are assigned to individual Ravetails. So basically this means that Ravetails, all the Ravetails in a Beta 6D, they're all connected to one another, but they have their individual consciousness. They have their individual consciousnesses, individual parts of this overall large soul space, the Beta 6D. So another really important thing, which seems like a lot of people don't know about this, there is a whole bunch of extra materials for Ar Tonelico, and a lot of this is actually translated by fans and it's on the wiki. So probably the most important thing, if you were to look into, if there's one extra material that I would most recommend looking into, it would be these setting encyclopedias. So basically there's one for each game. These go really in depth about basically history, wave science, characters, details about the world. Like, it's like if you want to know the population breakdown of Menifels, it's in the setting book. It's really, really specific stuff. I love these books. There's all sorts of info. So yeah, these are all translated on the wiki, which I'll have links to later. Next up, there's actually 4 light novels. So for Ar Tonelico 1 and 2, and then there's 2 novels for 3. The first and third ones are all translated. I'm actually the translator for the second one. I'm about 2/3 of the way done with the editing process. This is novel I've been translating. I do post how far I am on my Tumblr though, and I'll upload the finished project to the wiki as well when I'm done with that. So these basically, they'll go into more detail about some events at the end of the game, and also talks about some historical events. Like the second one goes into some stuff about 400 years ago. Like, so there's a whole war with the goddess, so it kind of talks about what led to that. The Ar Portal. So basically, this is a website where the fans could interact with like the creators of the game and stuff. And unfortunately, this was taken down pretty recently. Thankfully, there's like archiving websites like Wayback Machine. You can still access it, and there's a lot of it that's translated on the wiki as well. So probably two of the most important parts of the Ar Portal there are the tocospheres and technical data compilations. So tocospheres were basically this corner where fans could like submit their fan art or ask questions, and then like the characters themselves would respond and answer the questions that the fans would ask. So it's like in character question answering. And also Infel would actually start some of these with fun. It was great. So there's like over 120 tocospheres, and at the very least, the technical service center of all of these are translated, and some of them have more complete translation. And so the other part that I wanted to talk about is technical data compilations, which I think there's like something like 16 of them. And so basically, fans would ask like technical questions about like the world of Ar Tonelico, and then Tsuchiya himself would answer the questions. Next up, drama CDs. So you'd have like your typical drama CDs, and then there's also something called Hymnos musicals, which are basically like drama CDs with like new songs in them, which are all really good, of course. It's Ar Tonelico music. And yeah, some of these are translated as well. Arciel, Ardor, and Curtain. So the picture on the top is an album called Arciel Ardor, which Akiko Shikata is actually the one that kind of suggested this to Tsuchiya, and agreed to it. And sure, so we have this whole album, and it's about the legends of Arciel. And then Kurt Hymnith, I mentioned briefly earlier, it's like a collection of all the Hymnus concert CDs, and it has a little play-button with 3 new songs, and also some more details about the world and songs. Flash cosmospheres, it's exactly what it sounds like. There's these little flash cosmospheres, but basically there's like 2 new characters introduced in these, and they dive into the array of tales that are seen in the game. And there's also one for Infel. It's a little different. It takes place during Cloche's 7th cosmosphere, so she's one of the Raven Tales in the second game, Cloche. And Infel like disappears during part of this, and it kind of tells what she was up to. There was also a OVA, which I don't hear many people talking about this. I don't think it was necessarily all that great, but the songs in it were really good, so that at least is nice. And there's also like manga for Ar Tonelico, so this one was like a whole original story in the world, taking place in the world. And there's like even more than just this that I've been discussing. Like I just recently learned about there was a calendar that was recently translated, and this, yeah, it's a calendar, but it had like a whole bunch of like new stories and information. So there's like some exclusive wave science information in a calendar of all things. So yeah, there's an overwhelming amount of extra materials to check out for Ar Tonelico. And speaking of cool stuff, they actually released an official music box that plays Exec Phantasmagoria, one of the songs from the first game, and I actually own this, so this is my music box right here. So next up, fan work. So of course there's like banner and stuff like normal, but the main thing I want to talk about here is that people have actually made fan-made Hymnos CDs. They're really well done too. So these are some of like more well-known ones. Like Cosmo Crystal is about a distant future of RCL, and so they have like Raven Tales connected to this tower called Panther, so it's about that. Soul Octa is like a legend based off Ar Tonelico, and there's still a tram stuff over on the right. So Hymnos Chronicle. Basically, there's a bunch of songs in like the game, extra materials that they mentioned of like having existed and having been sung, but we don't actually get to hear these songs. So basically, they came up with their own ideas of what these songs might have sounded like, and then later on, they like also introduced some of their own original Raven Tales into them, which you can buy this year.
And like with most fan works, if you miss getting these, some of these CDs have hit the $200+ range.
If you can even find them in the first place, which I was very desperate to get Hymnos Chronicle for a long time. I eventually did. It was about like $250 for it. Yeah. If you want one of these, make sure you get it quick. So finally, as we reach the end, I want to talk about the other part of the Exapico universe, which is the Search Concerto series. So it's kind of even less known than Ar Tonelico, but they're really, really good, and it's the same universe. And actually, technically, Search Concerto is a prequel to Ar Tonelico. So there were two games, Ciel No Surge and Ar No Surge. The thing is, Ciel No Surge was only released in Japan, but it's also really, really vital to play Ciel before Ar No Surge, because although Ar Tonelico, yeah, you can treat each game as an individual game. There's some returning characters, but you know, they mostly function as their own individual story. Ar No Surge, on the other hand, almost all the characters are returning from Ciel No Surge, and you really need to have Ciel No Surge to have a full understanding of what's going on in Ar No Surge and who these characters are, and really like feel the connection to them. So yeah, if you do know Japanese, I would recommend playing Ciel yourself. It's really, really fun, and also you can connect your data with the Japanese version of Ar No Surge. But even if you can't, don't worry, because there's a really well done English translation on YouTube called Ciel No Surge in English that basically goes through the full story and gives you a kind of idea of some of the other parts. So basically how Ciel No Surge, how it works, it's basically, it's about this game where this girl, Eon, seen in the background, she's lost her memories, but she picks this terminal and she makes a connection with the player himself. So you as a player actually play a role in this game. And so you help Eon restore her lost memories, and then basically you get to interact with this girl, and then there's like two halves of the game. One is like this light simulation, interact with Eon part, and the other half is in the dream world where you restore her memories and watch it play out, kind of like a visual novel sort of thing. And then I can't go into Ar No Surge because like Ar No Surge, everything in it is like a spoiler. Ciel No Surge, so just please play it first.
For a non-spoiler, is a neat little thing that I noticed for everybody that did play. The engine seems to be almost the exact same engine as we was using the Arlene trilogy from Atelier. I noticed that it feels very similar, despite being a whole different series.
And also, there's also two new languages, that new conlangs in this game, and the music is also like just as good as Ar Tonelico too. So more good music. There's reason enough to play, I think. And briefly, here's some useful links if you want to like take a picture of the slide or something. It has Exapico Wiki for like song information, feeling contained in song, and there's the translations too, which I have as the translations I put as a whole separate link because this leads right to like novel translations, drama CD translations, setting book translations most importantly. There's a link to Ciel No Surge in English, which you can also just look it up on YouTube. There's like a whole playlist for this. Flash Cosmospheres, which I talked about earlier. Cocoa Matters, which are basically, it's a part of the Cocosphere essentially. And then something called Class Ar No Surge Proto, which is basically between Ciel and Ar No Surge. It kind of explains some events that happened before Ar No Surge. There's the Raven Tales Melody Forum, which this is probably the main forum for the Exapico stuff, so Ar Tonelico Surge, so if you're not part of this too. Hymnos Server, which is basically like a Hymnos dictionary. And then it has a little bit of grammar too, but if you really want to learn the Hymnos language, the Conlang Wiki is actually really in-depth and good for learning that. And finally, the Ar Tonelico 2 Greek localization project, like I said, the fan translation is way better done. And here's my personal contact info if you want to come talk to me about Ar Tonelico. I love Search Concerto too. I love talking about this stuff. So yeah, I have my Tumblr where I post translations and stuff. I'm part of the forum. My username is Infel, of course. My email, Skype, yeah.
I'll work on getting a offline copy of the slides as well, in case people want to reference that as well.
So finally, if there's any questions or anything. Not that everyone, you can come talk to me afterwards. I love talking about Exotico stuff. It's my passion. And also, I can give you a full lecture on Infel's backstory if anyone is interested in that too. I once went on for 5 hours just on his backstory. You can confirm. So, yeah, thanks for everyone for attending.